I think that the error we made was that we were trying to mix the Westminster system of government and the presidential system of government. That is the mistake that we made in our constitutional process. So if that can be removed, because you see, being in parliament is a serious business. Now, how on earth can you run a ministry as a minister and at the same time find time to represent your people in parliament? You can't. In fact, if you check the assembly rota, you may find out that there are many ministers who seldom appear in parliament. And yet that is their purpose for their being elected as MPs. They were not elected to become ministers. They were elected to become MPs, to represent the people. So I think that if there should be a constitutional review in the next time, there should be a separation. That those who want to represent the people should be in parliament.
But let's look at the work of this 8th parliament. 137 with an independent candidate who has pledged support for the NPP in doing business in the House.
Well, that is why there's so much partisanship is involved. You know, there are often times I worry and I ask myself, do the MPs realize that there is something I call national interest? Do they appreciate that it's a national interest? Because sometimes it's just like, because you are in opposition, you oppose anything that the other party brings. Instead of the proper dialogue, they have committees in the parliament, which are supposed to be the most powerful institutions, because there should not be party. They should be able to meet, use their intellect, discuss issues, even call experts to come, advise them to make proposals for things to be done, changes to be made, laws to be made. This should be the situation. Unfortunately, we have made it that we become so partisan that we cannot even get a consensus on anything, which I think is unfortunate. And it's a drawback for the nation because we are not making the progress that we ought to be making. I am absolutely sure that with the level of the intelligence and the brilliance of the Ghanaians that I know them, many of them are abroad and they are effectively helping governments there to do things in marvelous ways. And yet we are going down and down and down because we are not utilizing every talent. If you want to put someone, they ask you, but does he belong to a party? I say, what is the relevance of that? His party is not relevant to the job. If he's qualified to do the job, let's give him the job to do.
But you're saying, for instance, that if someone is in the NDC who is, he has knowledge, he has wherewithal to be able to contribute to solving the economic problems of this country, that person should be brought on board. The consideration should be the proposals they are making.
Let's use the talent. In any case, there are so many people who are not even interested in party. And here you are not appointed because he's not a party card holder, which is a drawback to the nation. And so I believe that we should just use talent, irrespective of people's political affiliation or connection, as you like to put it that way. There's a lot of Ghanaians who are so intelligent, so qualified. Can you believe that so many years back, I was in the US, in California. I found out that the city manager of Oakland was a Ghanaian. And he was appointed because of his expert knowledge. He was not holding an elective office. He was city manager. That means he does the work for the city to supervise. A man like that should have been in Ghana helping us to organize our cities, how we can raise revenue, how we can manage, how we can keep sanitation, how we can do housing, how we can provide schools, education for the children. This is the responsibility of the city manager. So we are losing by our own default because we become so petty that everything is party. There's nothing wrong with political party. I like political party. I think they are good. That people of like mind should come together and discuss issues and formulate policies and so on. but we should not make that as if it's a criteria for governance.
Let's look at the Council of State. You are a member of the Council of State. Is the Council of State relevant in our current dispensation as a country? Is it bound to take your...
Well, that's the only difference. The only difference is that he is not by law bound. But you must also appreciate that it is not our job to go to the public and tell them that we did advise the president, but he didn't take our advice. Because that's what we are undermining him. So we don't talk about things of that nature. But I think the suggestion is that that institution can be improved. And the improvement being suggested by others is the fact that perhaps it should be composed in such a way that, for example, if Parliament passes a law, let's say first or second reading, maybe it should go back to the upper house to look at it, and they may send the team back to them with suggestions as to what they should do. Even right now, according to the Constitution, if they have passed a law, the Council of State can look at it and send it back to them to re-look at. The only question, of course, is that we are not equipped for that purpose, in the sense that there are oftentimes, even some of the laws, they pass it before we are even aware of it. When in fact they are supposed to have sent the drafts to us to look at, so that we also can consult, get opinions from experts, and then advise them. Unfortunately, it's not working that way, because in the past, I think the Council of State had been used almost like a glorified, institution, a title. But to tell you the truth, these are some of the things that is meant to be done, and it can still be improved if we all understand what our roles are, and also to appreciate that talent is not limited to any person. And in the old days, when we always say, go and consult the old lady, go and consult the old man, there's wisdom in it, because they have had experience and the rest of it, so they are in a better position to counsel you and say, young man, young lady, don't do this, it won't work. We've seen it before. It ends in disaster. Handle it this way, that way.
Yes, I understand that, but then your advice is not binding on the president. He's not bound to take your advice, even though Council of State, you advise him.
Well, to tell you the truth, I am not even concerned about binding or not binding. I'm just saying that advice should be taken seriously, because nobody just gets up and advice. They must have considered so many other factors before making an advice. And therefore advice, no matter what it is, they say is binding or not binding, it's just good to seek advice. And I'm just saying that this is what the Constitution was meant to be, that even Parliament itself should be doing that also. When issues come before them, they should also make reference to the Council of State and say, what does the Council think about this situation like that? That even if a minister is confronted with a problem, there's no reason why he also cannot consult the Council of State. But I'm saying that indeed we do call them. We do call them. We do call them. We call ministers, they come to us, they come with their official, and we discuss issues and we make suggestions to them.
But I'm sure as a Council of State, you'll be monitoring the economic situation. You're also affected, I guess, or not? Well, but have you had any conversation about the current economic situation we're all faced with?
The truth is that the Council was on recess for a while, but we have had a meeting with the Minister for Finance, or the Minister of Finance. We had minister with the Governor of the Central Bank. We met the importers, the TUC. We met all of them. We've met all of them to discuss issues and then to make the reason why it is important for them to take drastic measures. For example, we know that there's a lot of smuggling of currency in the country, and there's also the speculation. And unfortunately, the media itself was contributing to it, because they keep hyping. Tomorrow we think that this is going to go to 10, going to 15. And so people are rushing with their cedis to go and buy dollars when they don't need dollars. These are all part of the we have discussed all this with them.
Well, talk about the finance ministry. You've seen the back and forth about whether Ken Oforiatta should be sacked stay in office. The president has stated his position on it. The MPs in parliament, NPP MPs, said they are not going to allow him, or they do not want him to be the one to present the 2023 budget. Budget is going to be presented tomorrow. Is the Council of State going to have any conversation at all about this?
Oh, no, that's don't forget, I did forget that thing. Don't forget that it's a recent matter. It's just a matter that arose just a short while ago. Yeah. So we have not even, we actually have a meeting on Wednesday and Thursday. Yeah, we have not even met on that matter.